Don't let anybody tell us that this is not a Christian country. It is.
Is a Jewish person going to burn in hell? Yes or no? Yes or no? You just have to answer yes or no. Devrom's Jewish. Is he going to burn in hell?
I'm right here.
Jesus said, I am the way and the truth and the life.
So
yes.
So which one?
You're saying yes? You're saying yes? Yes?
You're framing me.
You're saying it's a Christian nation. So everyone who is not Christian, they're basically being told they're going to burn in hell. That means that the nation that they live in believes that people that don't believe in their religion are burning in hell. That's a really big thing to say.
Backing government?
Yes. Our government was based on it.
Right.
And God we trust is on our money. So
One of the amendments in the Constitution says that, there will be a separation between church and state. A lot of people are saying they want to see more church in state.
I do. I think so.
So certain parts of the Constitution, take it or leave it.
Yeah. So I believe fully in the Constitution. But I still
Just
don't-
not that particular
Yeah, well,
particular thing.
They need church, or we need less government in our schools and more church in our schools, I think.
More church in our
government's
state.
gonna-
People are talking about making America a Christian nation. Would you support that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The values, thought that's what we built the country on, was my impression, but obviously things got twisted along the way. It's pretty disheartening to see what's going on. So many people are unaware of the just general challenges in life, what's going on behind the scenes on the bad side.
What happens to people who are not Christian in this country, who are atheists, who are Jewish, who are Islamic? If America is religious freedom and there is a sort of a mandate for Christianity in America, what happens to that?
Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
Well, what do we say to our Jewish brothers and sisters if we're saying we have a Christian nation?
I wouldn't necessarily even call it pushing Christianity, or I don't even go there. I'm like, I am what I am. So knowing that gives me my spirituality. So that's a worldwide thing. That's not Islamic. That's not Hebrew or Jewish or German or any other. It's humankind. In my book, that's kind of how things sort of seem to work, if you're paying attention.
I believe it always has been a Christian nation. I believe that there's a covenant with God, and He will not let this country go, and it will come back to what it was supposed to be, out of the slave state.
Explain that a little bit.
What, the slave?
No, what you mean by what it will become what it was supposed to be. And from your perspective, what does that mean?
My perspective is that under godly instruction and biblical principles, as I believe God created government even in the Bible, and there's different ways to do things. The goal is to spread the truth as we know it, share Jesus, which is the ultimate truth.
That pesky little clause of the separation of church and state can be a real thorn in the side for MAGA and other Christian nationalists.
And this threat to democracy has made its way to Congress. My colleague, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, has said, quote, Christian nationalism is actually a good thing. It is an identity that Republicans need to embrace, and I am being attacked by the godless left because I said I am a proud Christian nationalist, end quote. My colleague, Representative Lowen Boebert, said, quote, the church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church. I'm tired of this separation of church and state junk, end quote. Junk being the Constitution and Bill of Rights. The Bible itself in 2 Corinthians actually warns us against this. Paul warned against this. He warned us against people who would preach of a Christ that differs from the true Christ that we learn about in the Bible. That's exactly what Christian nationalism is doing. I condemn religious extremism everywhere, globally and domestically, and we have to recognize the threat it poses to our most sacred freedoms and root it out everywhere. And I think it's incumbent, especially upon us as Christians, and me as a Christian, to be at the forefront of the fight to ensure that white nationalism and Christian nationalism doesn't see the light of day. Thank you, and I yield back.
White Christian nationalism fuses Christianity with a rigid view of civic life, a view that true Americans are white, native-born, and conservative. On January 6th, it was the connective tissue that tied disparate groups together and propelled them to action. It's infecting our government, from members of Congress and top officials in the previous administration to the wife of a Supreme Court justice whose messages to the president's chief of staff leading up to the insurrection smacked of white Christian nationalism. Thankfully, good Americans, people of faith and non-believers, are standing up to this violent ideology.
And listen, I'm not a religious man, but one of the things that really, truly always gets under my skin about Christian nationalism and people who consider themselves to be, quote unquote Christians, is how they do not follow the path of Jesus. Because I don't care who you are, I don't care what you believe. The path of Jesus, the real path of Jesus, is definitely something worth emulating. Loving people, being willing to forgive, being willing to be patient, being willing to empathize with people. Accepting people into your group who society shuns just because maybe they're sick or maybe they're, look at how society treats people like sex workers, who was Jesus friends with, Mary Magdalene, stuff like that. It means something. It goes a long way. But then what do these people twist it into? Just superiority. We're better than you. We deserve all the benefits. We deserve to step all over you. Everybody else is a threat to our superiority. Last time I checked, that's not what Jesus is about. Last time I checked, isn't there a story in the Bible where Jesus goes into a temple and starts flipping everything over and gets mad because he goes in there and sees that people aren't focused on the good of the world. They're not focused on their fellow man. They're just selling stuff. They're making money. They're hustling. They're selling idols. They're doing what they need to do basically to just get their earthly treasures. So that was my rant on people who act like they follow Jesus, but absolutely do not.